I'm just speaking in Spanish now, aren't I? Sorry, I'm so confused about the language of this thing. Estamos esperando un par de minutos hasta que entren más.
We are just waiting some minutes more up we have more people in the room.
Hola, yo soy Lucibel y están súper bienvenidos.
Hello, I'm Lucibel. Welcome you all to our second workshop organized by the University of São Paulo and the University of Surrey as part of Women in Mobility during crisis. You will have the website in the site.
Which is the second that's featuring in a series of public engagement events organized by the University of Surrey in partnership with the Universidade de São Paulo as part of the UGPN project, Women's Immobility in Times of Crisis. And you'll be able to find the project web pages in the chat. Esta mañana o esta noche, dependiendo de su
This morning, afternoon, or night, depending on when you are, we will have intervention of two amazing activist, feminist writers and artists, Elena de Hoyos and Kine Rodriguez Diaz.
I am really thrilled to present you to two incredible women, activists, feminists, writers, and artists, Elena de Hoyos and Kine Rodriguez Diaz. Este evento se va a dar en español.
These events will be imparted in Spanish after a lot of deliberations about the language for the intervention, and maybe a little English as well.
But we are very, very lucky to have two very flexible interpreters who will be on two different channels, one to Portuguese and one to English. Luciana, would you like to explain that in Portuguese, either in person or in the chat?
Então, fico responsável pelo português. Boa tarde. Estamos começando o evento que acontecerá.
So good afternoon. We're starting the event that will happen in Spanish with translation to and from English, Portuguese, and Spanish. You can access it by the link in Portuguese here. Welcome, everyone. And in the chat box, we ask you to introduce yourselves, tell us where you are, and you also have access to our website, different pages.
So, me gustaría ahora presentar.
So now I would like to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Elena de Hoyos. Elena is from the DC, from the DF, and live in Morelos. She has a background as a sociologist in the Universidad Autónoma de México. She is coordinating the work Hermanas en la Sombra, using feminist art and writing as a way to reveal the situation of oppression for women, especially in the penitentiary prison system. She has been awarded with international prizes for her audio and documentaries about men and families victim of organized crime. As of 2017 to 2019, she coordinated 2 national anthologies in 4 cities in Mexico and United States, presented in the International Book Exhibit in New York. She just published Renacer en la Escritura for the feminist intervention in spaces submitted to violence, and currently she coordinates for more than 40 women in 4 different cities in Mexico, in the United States, to prepare an anthology about social distancing and its consequences. And to the personal level, I would like to say that she's a good friend of mine and contributing with this project in the last 2 years from afar, most of the times, due to the situation, which will also be discussed at the end of this workshop.
Everybody who's listening in English should probably by now be in the interpreting studios for English. But just in case you're not, you can make your way here, and I'd just like you to all welcome Elena de Hoyos. Elena, over to you. Elena, estás silenciada.
Elena is muted.
Hola a todas.
Hello everyone. I believe that we are mostly women here, and I would like to make this effusive entrance to start our conversations and to break the ice that we usually have in this webinars and conferences through Zoom. So I started with talking heads, and it is very hard to get close to each other with Zoom. So as great friends, Lucy allows me to do anything I want, and she's even enchanted with that. So she allowed me for having this brief performance and at the same time a ritual, because this candle I'm lighting is a candle that is, we already lit that in different webinars, and it is loaded with the energy of many other women. So it's not the same candle, of course, but it's like lighting up and getting the light of one another to get enlightened. So thank you very much for this opportunity to be facing so many people. We have now, how many? 35 here in the Zoom, so it's a good amount. And one of the elements we use in our methodology, and please, the interpreters tell me if I'm going too fast, and I will try to go slower. So performing these rituals and converting everything in rituals, having writing as a ritual, because our life is sacred, and this place, this space is sacred, as the spaces where we work, that we convert in sacred, we enshrine them, because they pass through strong transitions, and we need to be very courageous as women to see things that we don't like from one another, recognize these weak points, embrace them, and transform them. So it is like my custom to do these rituals, to access a deeper space, a more interior space. We will be talking about hereditary writing. So I will share now a PowerPoint, but before that, to the 35 people that honored us with their sharpness in time, we will carry out a ritual to recognize our brains. This is something that we can see here in the book, in the manual. I will say some words in English because I prepared originally in English, but so sometimes I will skip into English and back to Spanish, back and forth. This is a manual that we will use to base most of our exercises. And these exercises are about the two parts, the two hemispheres of our brain. Where is it? You have the link of the manual in the chat if you want to see this. Yes, and I tried to open a page, but it was a wrong page. Let me see. It was even just a second. Something I learned in 2 years of Zoom, and not get nervous. There's a solution for everything, and we will get there. So now with 37 people, 36, 37, 38, oscillating, and let's put ourselves comfortable to start with our ritual. So sit comfortably on your seats, your feet comfortably resting on the ground. Breathe deeply, fully aware of your respiration, of your breathing, something that we don't do quite often. Let's inspire 3 times and feel our backbone erected. And now let's close our eyes if you feel comfortable with it, and let's access our brains to be in optimum conditions to enjoy the experience that we will share in the next hour and 45 minutes. So with our eyes closed, focus on your mind, our upper extremity, the upper extremity of our body, the skull. We feel how the skull is sustained. You can move it around so you can notice the weight of your head and start to feel the skull that in this moment we place in front of us, our hands extended. Extend your arms and hands facing up. You continue breathing deeply and get the hands. Now you can open your eyes so you can see what to do. If you lose the description, you get your hands closer to your head, and the left hand, you move towards the left hemisphere of your head. You feel the skull, and within it, we feel the left hemisphere, the gray matter pulsing alive within our head. We feel as if our hand was passing through the skull, almost touching the surface of our brain, feeling heat, feeling it throbbing, and now take it out of your head with your eyes closed or open if it is easier for you. Put it back in front of your body. Again, hands facing up. And now we are taking our brain with it. Now with your right hand, you do the same. You touch the right side of your skull, breathing deeply, feel the bones, feel the heat of your hand touching the bones, passing through it and reaching the right hemisphere. And so we have both hemispheres in our hands. Put your hands in front of your body, look at it. Imagine your brain in your hands. And now we will see all the beauty and splendor of our brain. We examine, we appreciate each hemisphere. Breathe, appreciating, enjoying, and respecting, and above all, treasuring our wonderful brain. And now, slow and gently, get your two hands together, passing fingers one to the other, and feel it melting, it joining affectionately both hemispheres. Now you put your arms in front of your body again, and put your brain back with both hands, already complete, connecting reason and emotions, relaxed, fun, capable. We can even adjust it in our head. Move it a little bit so it gets adjusted to the skull. Now, keeping your eyes closed for some seconds, and in 3 respirations, you will notice, or you're getting in touch with your sensations. Did anything change from some minutes ago? Or do we feel the same? Well, breathe deeply, and we resume to our virtual meeting with a renewed brain, ready to enjoy this time together. This time that we worked so much to fill with love and content that is so important to all of us, and for me. And I hope it is important for you. And I would like you to write in the chat, where do you come from? Because this is the internationalization of hearts, which is very beautiful, because I'm talking to 37 people from different parts of the world, and I don't see just my friends, my colleagues. I see maps, I see books, I see faces that I know that are already part to the project that we will hear right now. Joy Whitfield, that is always with us. I always talk to Joy in feminine because she's a great ally. I see people from New York, from Cuernavaca, from different parts are also present. Rodriguez, that will be our co-speaker. Many new people as well, and I hope that more people would come. May we read some of the communications on the chat? São Paulo, Court, Ireland, East Sussex, Wales, Cardiff, Wales, Cuernavaca, Morelos, very close to you. From my kitchen in Glasgow is a postgrad student. Portugal, Liana de Castelo, Los Angeles, San Marcos, California. So really international. So now I will share the presentation. Just a second. Don't worry, you see other parts of my screen. Well, here we are. And now I will put in presentation mode. And the title of the talk is Revealing is Revealing. Disclosure is Rebellion. It's a play of words in Spanish because it's the word is the same sound, just one little letter that is different, V or B. And the subtitle is Explaining Feminist Intervention in Writing in Spaces Where we Face Violence. Many of us are privileged women, but when a woman is harassed or raped, we all feel harassed and raped. In the news, with the social distancing, I doubt there is one woman in the world that says, I never feel myself harassed. I had an experience of a lady that said, well, I had my very happy life. My parents took care of me. My husband take good care of me. He never leave me out after 7 at night. So these are violences that are agreed upon, that are consented because we obey. Women obey. And we don't see this as violence. We don't realize that this is violence. And if there is no one that never live violence, tell me what the world you live in, because I don't know anyone. So identity writing, the way identity writing serves to create bridges across women in different realities or different geographic contexts. In the upper part, in the upper picture, we have some women imprisoned. Marina Ruiz, I believe this is Maria Elena Basabe, Aida Hernandez, co-authors of the manual, myself, some years ago. These are some of our first interventions. We are here in a prison. And here in 2019, we are inaugurating the International Book Fair in New York, which is the top of the world. It's not little, it's not. As we were in New York, many of these women have now the book of those women, and they are connected for many years already, and now they will be even more, and you will know why. Next slide. I'm sorry, it skipped too fast. Okay. Identity writing is not properly literature, because what we do is using literary resources to acknowledge patriarchal mandates that prevent us to be full human beings. We are just mothers, daughters, lovers, whores, inmates, bourgeois. So we are in the places where the society put us. We are wives, we are housewives, and identity writing allows us to break down these barriers, these frontiers that our patriarchal society imposes on us. If you do not accept them, you will be punished. If you put clothes that are not proper, you will be violated, will be raped. If you go out by night, you can get hurt. So be in the safe places that the patriarchy built for us. So in the upper part, we have this lady, Elosita Salazar. She didn't know, she was an indigenous woman. She didn't know how to write and read. Unfortunately, she died after leaving prison due to the sequels in her body for lack of diabetes treatment that she suffered for her whole life. At home, it was worsened due to lack of treatment. She is holding our first book, a workshop coordinated by Aida Hernandez. It is the history of indigenous women in prison. And in the left picture, we are in a library in the city of Los Angeles, super privileged place with people that have a place in Hollywood or in the movies, in the art, doing the same as this woman that didn't know how to write and read, but learned because she wanted to tell us something. This is extremely moving, extremely touching. How do we achieve that? What I will present now. Throughout 14 years, actually, we started even before that. You are who you are since you were born. I will not tell my own history, but my debut was in 2007. I was trained as a facilitator, and my first group was in prison. So 14 years we are walking together in this path of writing about ourselves, writing about. So here we have in the top right picture, this is a poet that is already very famous from Chiapas that came to share with the inmates in the prison. And here we have women addicted in the Center for Rehabilitation, the Centro de Luz, meaning Center of Light. So writing links us, connects us, make us look to the other and understand each other. I'm sorry, I just skipped one slide. Well, anyways, what we can see here is the Cuernavaca group. I'm sorry, I don't know what is going on, but it is okay. So here, Los Angeles women that came to Cuernavaca to meet us, and they already shared a book, Hermanas, in this first anthology by Sotia Brass, that was the brain in Juana in New York. They were the triggers. She was my friend since I was 6, since kindergarten. And she came to a workshop and took this book and said, I want to do something like that. So I went to Los Angeles, and here we are, many women after that. And now we are, I'm checking time here. We are now getting into the manual itself, Reborn in Writing, Renacer en la Escritura, that you can see the cover here in the picture. This manual is a feminist intervention to acknowledge and transform the multiple and invisible violences that women live in all contexts. And it's called Reborn in Writing because this is a way to rebuild ourselves to our way, the way we prefer to be. And no one can say differently, only us. And this also happens because in prison is where society put the biggest stigma, the thief, the murderer. I'm a woman. I'm a woman that feels, that walks, that has children. I'm not just an inmate. I'm not just a label. And writing help us to reborn in a new character, as you will see later on. So one of the one of the issues we use is the feminist methodology. Why? Well, I found this post that describes very well what we want to do. We carry out an analysis on the place we have, our role in the society, and the power we have, not only on the husbands or children. This does not matter. This is our fantasy. What is the power we have on ourselves? Do we really do what we want? Oh, my father didn't like that, so I don't do it. Oh, my husband works, so I have to do the work at home. So I have a mandate. And what is the feminine? Oh, it's wearing pink, is having long nails, wearing makeup. No, I have to invent my feminine. I have to redefine and reconceptualize and the feminine, the sacred, the feminine value. I don't have this to be this useless little woman that doesn't know how to fill a checkbook, doesn't know how to pay the bills, doesn't know how to how drive a car because he's always taken. And what are the expectations? Because we had separatists, feminists. Well, I say that I have my gallery of forgiven misogynists because they are friends and I like them. So I forgive them. But we want to create new ways to react, and we want to understand what we do not want, to be sure about what we want. And we don't want to put that many attention in man and start to analyze the relationships and value them with sympathy and mutual respect, recognizing the leadership one another, admiring and respecting it, and autonomy as well, independency. Why am I here? Because I'm afraid? I want to understand what are those fears, detail them and convert them in boldness, and be the protagonist of my own life. What do I mean that? Oh, I want my husband to make money, my boy to study, my daughter to marry. No, I don't have to live my life from the life of others. I have to have my own life. This is what we do with feminism. So I will briefly mention some of the elements that are like a recipe. I love cooking. I believe I will someday have a cooking channel. Please, Elena, do it. Please, Elena. So these are like ingredients that we use to produce this alchemy with writing, with appreciating our strong points and weak points. It doesn't matter what the other think of ourselves. What matters is what you think of yourself. This is what we are looking for. So we use these rituals that you've experienced, affection, because especially in prison, women feel unappreciated. So just looking at them, just giving a piece of soap, a gift, is something huge for them. And for us, it's just nothing. Sorority, which is an extremely important issue. Body awareness, if we split into thinking, feelings, and enjoyment, sexuality, open the chakras, the energy of our bodies. we have to move it. We have to produce movement. So we use some dancing rituals, connecting to the elements, brain gymnastics, stretching, feeling comfortable. When we are tense, when we are so move your shoulders, roll your shoulders inwards and outwards. This builds more space to have a more comprehensive world. We also have other link Lucy will share with you. We are becoming friends of technology. I won't say we are fighting here, but we are building a slow friendship with technology so we can upload all our materials so you have free access thanks to the Zurich University and Cardiff University, and we have reading documents that I've been collecting for many years, from a book, from something I read from a friend, from blogs, and I'm sharing this. In my talks, I would share, how do you see this text written by a lesbian woman, or this one by an indigenous woman? So readings that will awake thoughts and deconstruct the stereotypes that maintain us imprisoned in racism, in sexism, in patriarchal mandates that we think come from us, from ourselves, and also exercises for writing. Each of them have triggering exercises. This manual we produce in coordination with Cardiff and Zurich, and mostly during the pandemics. This was my pandemic, maybe more than 9 months actually. I don't like that much long pregnancy, and we gave birth to a beautiful monster with many legs and eyes, and with 3 mothers, because I started to write in the pandemics, then Marina, and then why not? I want to take part. Elga, so Olga, put your hands here, and many parts that of myself that I was ignorant. So maybe I had I'm a classist and I was not aware of, and I had a new perspective. And to smoothen my relationship with patriarchy, not putting everything down and let's restart. No, some of us, we have husbands and men, children, sons. So will we kill them? No, we have to rebuild. And Marina with her poetry and intelligence, it's very beautiful, this 3-mother work. And this was the beautiful soaring, beautiful flight. We had a workshop, online workshop with women that left prison. We had a computer donation. There was a woman for 15 years in prison. She didn't know what enter was. What is the enter button for? So we produced a workshop with a pilot for the manual. It was a huge amount of hours of work. And these women, they write in the manual. We published their essays, their papers in. With that, we have feministic sentences, we have a glossary, because we are using very modern topics that sometimes belong to the academia and to privileged people. So we have to explain them in a common language, so they are not just take for granted. We have to explain them. And we also use very didactic concepts. Oh, and we also have this a workshop with letters that we explain how to structure sessions, how to impart them in Zoom, so people can look at the screen and see how the other is, how is the light, how is the background. This is your personality. Don't put the camera just getting your eyes or to or to the roof, or a door open passing people behind you. So whenever we can, we have to produce this, in between quotes, this Hollywood got into me. And literary resources like metaphors, like literature, the use of pronouns. In Spanish, we have a female we. We say nosotras, my sisters and I. If we don't say I, myself, oneself, but because in Spanish, this is also masculine. So why do we speak of ourselves in masculine with masculine pronouns? So then we start to talk about the 7 topics that are the backbone of the manual. This was a very long, interesting discussion with Marina and Aida, because they manage huge themes and they are experts in the themes. But I'm in the collective, I'm in charge of the workshops, and my expertise, my fundamental expertise is imparting writing workshops. And after 14 years, surely more than hundreds, I don't know, workshops. I believe it's already thousands of women. I didn't count them. Someday I will. But what is this women writing about? What is in the top? What is the hot topic? What are they writing about? What do they need to disclose? And the important thing of disclosing is disclosing to ourselves. The first reader is yourself. So in the first workshop in Los Angeles, New York, I started to consider the topics, feminine stories. We like to talk about men as well. Talking about myself, it is very hard. My dreams, my fears, because what I live every day, small things, things from my body, sexuality, eros, and romance. We also like to tell this. And we always want to hear from the other. Tell me, please. Tell me now. What did they say? What did he say? What did he do? And these are the 7 topics. And within them, the wisdom of Marina and Aida accumulated. So here we have, and I believe we can also share the presentation. You have the link. You can read it calmly. And to avoid repeating, I will go directly to each of the topics. Well, here I have some picture I like, because with the former inmates in there is a historic garden. A friend with her husband. It inspired me a lot. As flowers, they do not compete. Be as flowers, do not compete, just blossom. So we love, everybody loves flowers, seeing flowers, and we are like flowers, we women, and beautiful. So the first topic is we in feminine. Who am I? What do I think? What are silly things I think? Things that have nothing to do, just chatting, talking what really happened to me, what I feel, what I think, and sometimes I'm afraid of that. So this is another image, because during workshops we use a lot of memes and from a feminist website, which is an easy way to access new knowledge and theories. It says, I don't want to I don't want to be weighted, I don't want to feel bad for the expectations society has for me, and that I don't have the smallest intention to abide by. And I'm good in time. Okay. So here you have, what is a good woman? I always felt like a bad woman. And there is a very interesting talk in a round table. I was president of the consultative board of the directors board of the Institute of Women of my state. So I was sitting there and I start by saying, I was a woman that I have more men than I can remember, and I feel proud of it, and I feel proud of sharing, and not that many women dare to do it. And this was like a bomb. I dropped a bomb. And I went there with a friend a little older than me, and I was, do you feel right? Do you feel okay? As well, I couldn't stand up after what you said. I had two husbands and I feel like a prostitute, a whore. And you say that you have more men that you can remember. So here you say, the woman you will convert will bet friendship, money, but bet it all because it's worth it. Because you become the woman you want to be. Bet everything to be that woman. And don't be discreet. Don't be modest as the modest good woman. Be a woman that do whatever you want and be successful. Yes, sometimes I'm punished because we still live in patriarchy, but I manage, I negotiate, and I know who I am. I pay the price for it, but I want to be with the best of all. This is what one of the poems says. And this is one of the first things we have to disobey to liberate ourselves from guilt, which is a very bad friend that we are taught to know from childhood. Oh, you should be embarrassed of that. Why? We have to see, what is the woman I dreamt to become? And this will make it possible. We have to liberate ourselves from the stereotypes. This is not because I am a woman that I have to cook, I have to shave, I have to make up, I have to accept any idiot that invite me to go out, or that I have to get married and have children and show my ring. Look at my diamond. These values. Good that your friends can be happy with that, but this is not necessary. Not because I'm a woman. And with that, we go to the second topic, myself and the other. Female others. Usually our worst enemy is our best friend. Our foe is a friend. We don't like them because they dare to do what I would like to. Because my mother always dressed me like that. I cannot show my breasts because men will look at it, and it's not. You should be modest. This is a lack of respect to the female body. We have to dress as such. And when we see a woman, look at the dress, look at her legs. Now she's so fat, and all of that. And we say there's a gossiping about each other. Gossip is very good to realize that you are only talking about yourself. The things that you don't like the other is because you don't dare to do it yourself. When we start to be more compassionate to other, you have more compassion to yourself, because there is no worse violence than saying you are fat, you are horrible, this doesn't dress you well, you have society teach us to hate ourselves and hate the others. And when we stop hating the others, we start to love ourselves more. This part I want to get into detail because are very deep concepts, very modern feminism. I thank Aida I wouldn't understand this dimension of feminism, of this colonialism, if it was not for her, in the intersectionality, because we are many discriminations on top of the other. It's not just because I'm women, it's because I do not comply with the hetero I'm not heteronormative. The Europeans are better than the Americans, that are better than the Mexicans. Mexican women want to be like Americans, and Americans want to be like Parisians. So we discriminate one another, not only due to the women condition, but there's many other conditions on top of it. As Angela Davis says, feminism has to be anti-racist and anti-classist, otherwise it won't be at all. We have to recognize our own privileges. We are very privileged here. And because this is our privilege, we have to put this to the service of others that didn't have any privilege. This is something very important. And we have to work both with women in the lower classes and in the upper classes, because they have influence in decision-making spheres. And so we have to put together also with our male partners. I recommend Coral Herrera Gomez. Is a Spanish writer that opened my eyes and took me from the prison of romantic love that I believed I needed. And romantic love is no longer personal or individual problem, to understand the social, political, economic implications of it. Men say that when a man is old enough not to live with his mom, he has to look for a woman to form a hearth. And what is that? Is clean clothes, dinner by night, warm dinner by night, and children clean and in bed. So women become object, and love is the elixir that we are given not to think. Love is full, love does not think. Yes, of course not, because it's very good for men. It is not the most important, but women, we are taught to pursue the love of your life. You are here, but for men, you can be substituted by friends, by beer, by work, because everything is more important than you. So we have to understand that many of our romantic beliefs make us subject. So how can we move from romantic love to self-love? I don't have to be slim, young, sexy. I don't have to adjust my body to the beauty standards of society. Death to the flat belly, good to the round belly. I'm a happy fat woman. I'm not here to satisfy a patriarchal society. I break my misogynist scandals, and I won't adjust my attitude to make others happy. I won't do anything that do not make myself happy. I can be deeply generous, but if I'm not willing to, I'm sorry, bye, not with me. So I won't do things to others so they want me. My female body, cuerpa, just disobeying the Royal Spanish Academy of Letters, because this is a body to embody all types of women, fat and slim, tall or low. I'm not married to women to be the mother of my children, and I don't even talk to them. I just have to do sex to have children, but love with a younger woman, because this woman I have to respect because it's the mother of my children. And she has hair in her legs, and she smells as if men didn't. So the body is free is free from the patriarchal mandate. We are owner of our own body, our own planet, the cuerpa. And the fifth topic is autonomy. Here, three fundamental issues. Body. No one has to say how to have to dress, if I'm fat or slim, if I'm well-dressed or not. If I want to have sex with many women, men, or fluid, or if I want to be by myself, I decide. Oh, you should. It is not, it doesn't look nice. No, I don't want. And my possessions, my money, well, I usually make more money than my companions. I want to not offend them because I make more money. Well, my money is my money. And there's a sentence that I love. In a house of a wealthy woman, she can demand, she can scream. It sounds nicer in Spanish, but and the woman and the man have to obey. But usually women in rural areas, they do not have properties. Just 10% are owned by women. They are mostly 90% are on the property on behalf of men, on the name of men. But when they divorce after 30 years as being their personal assistant, secretary, prostitute, and servant for free, I will, you stay with the kids and I will marry another younger woman. So it's very important that we do not feel guilty. Because I was married to a person with a lot of money, and I felt guilty of having my own account. We shouldn't. So I'll say, no, you deserve it, and your time. Oh, I cannot go out now because my husband is at home and I have to give him dinner. No, he's a grown-up man. He can warm his dinner. You don't have to take care of them all the time. Oh, I want to go to dancing class. I want to learn tango. I don't have to be tied to my house and to others. I have to like myself, more wanting than being wanted. Our women has to seduce. When we see it from the lens of feminism, what's that? Horrible. I don't want you. Why? To be your lover? To give you prestige so you can parade me and have a better employment? So we are used to be desired and not desire. We have to desire, men included. We have to desire men included. They have to be desirable as well. And live in the present moment, where you are and where you want to get to. Sometimes we don't know what we want, and we have to work to understand what we do not want. And there's women that move themselves by writing. And also when we have workshop, we are always drug addicted. We are addicted to toxic relation. All of us here, we in this wonderful place with 47 people, we are women that want to drink from the spring of culture. We want to read other women. We want to know what they think. This is a collective identity. I belong to this group. This is the new project we have. And identify myself with this group and see myself in the other. This is the topic from the current moment. Said, maybe I don't know where I'm going to, but I know where I don't want to go back to. And I made an effort to translate. I don't know if it is correct, but something very important in the structure is giving new meanings. For instance, in prison, we are creative women, we are flowers, each of them with their own perfume. We are not inmates, we are not bad women. I'm just putting a new meaning to what I am. It's like recognizing our own value and believe our decisions. We can change our opinion. If we don't like something, we have to dress as we want. We have to say, I don't like these clothes. I don't need to try what I'm not. It's fun. I recommend be independent. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel that as we are women, we say silly things and men explain us and are wise. And also in relationship, my wife, my woman, and also violence. This help us recognize violence. Here we have some of the effects of my dear Suzuki that is also part of the project. This is an oil painting about a project, the Spanish women. She's reading in prison, and when she leaves prison, we had an event, a party. This is Carolina, myself, Florencia, that is also as an inmate, Suzuki, Carolina, and Marina, the editor. We had a party to reconnect them to their new life. And here, this is she in a very important forum, her and Manon presenting and reading in a bookstore for just privileged women. We used the forest that we have access to open to them so they know other realities. And now I'm very happy because I'm doing very well in time. I put some aromatherapy to get focused. And well, and because this is very important when preparing your talks, we are not here just to waste time. And so here we have, what are we doing right now? All of us here, that is narrative reunion. We didn't find a better name. This is a fascinating name, actually. This is a workshop. We have Arlete here and Orlet, I'm sorry. And we started in Los Angeles in the middle. This is the presentation we had in that library in the Los Angeles County, in Los Angeles downtown. I would say that this is the heart of the world, the core of the world. Many important things happen there, and we were there. And then Orle came, and there's a session in Cuernavaca with the Cuernavaca group. Orlet and other friends performing rituals, imparting workshops, meeting in this first anthology, Los Angeles Cuernavaca. And first was that, then they came to Cuernavaca, then they went to Tijuana, and we imparted another workshop in Tijuana with Orlet. Orlet liked very much what we did, the way we presented. Well, I don't have space enough to put all the pictures where we presented the book. Women were wishing to be there. I want to be part of it. I want to feel myself. I want to feel as you feel. So we went to the University of New York with Jose, Arlet, Chris, that we will see in some minutes. And we had a transforming workshop. We opened the International Book Fair in Central Park with all the skyscrapers surrounding us. And here, well, pandemic started. Well, I promised I wouldn't say that word. So social distancing came, and we are here in with the pilots of the manual with our inmates in this restaurant. And this is how Hermanas en la Sombra is, the Sisters in the Shadow. And this is how we grow, thanks to friendship, to academic work, and technology we could carry on. So what we do, we called 50 writers that took part in these 2 books that I have here. Here are the covers by Irene, my daughter. She designed the covers. We have 50 women living in these books. So we have to meet again. What happened during this time when we were isolated? What did you do? How did you live? Who died? Some sisters we lost due to the disease, to COVID. But this writer is always lighting the candles, trying to do things, trying to get together. Elena, we want to do something with you. And we decided to do this with Orlet and Rosalia, that was the organizer in New York. And we summoned these women. Not all of them wanted. They made so many things. Why don't they want? But well, they are not all ready to pass through this process or continue in this process. So we invited women from other places as well, mainly due to Lucy's idea. When I asked and I talked to them, why don't you invite Hermanas en la Sombra, Sisters in the Shadow, with this project of mobility? And thanks to Lucy, this was her idea. I always invite Hermanas en la Sombra in my workshops. When they leave prison, they have a kind of a scholarship with me. But I was not as so aware that women, when leaving prison, could integrate in this international project. And now we are already 5 Sisters in the Shadow, but we won't say it, because this is an exercise of introspection. They are participating as writers and not to be hidden. And I won't put them the label of hero former inmate. So the texts I that we have more than 50 women, about 200,000 words, telling what we lived, without mentioning the word pandemics. So we decided to produce a digital book. And why don't we say it? Because if we don't say a word, it doesn't exist. So we deleted the word pandemics, won't mention it. And that's why we just call it social distancing, which was one of the strongest strikes of this phenomenon that is still not over, but a very good moment to have a recalling of what happened and produce a digital book that you will have access in Spanish. And the editions, well, this is my editorial that published, my publishing house published this book. We also have the School of Arts and Human Science, Lehman School, Lehman College, New York, and Surrey University in Great Britain, and Flow with the Moon. It's a movement by Orlet. And later on, we will have a printed version, so the authors have it. This is a project. We receive funds coming from the Yard Foundation that is led by Ginny Rodriguez, and each of the authors paid a quota of subscription to pay this hard work of revision, proofreading, correction, and formatting of the texts. We started already, and we will also have the online publication, online. And as we have more financing, we will publish more books. It would be very nice also to translate it into other languages, but this is for the future. The idea is having a second book tour to present it in different cities. So, well, this is 1:11 for me, 3:11 in Brazil. So, this is my participation, and now I believe we finished with the presentation. When we have some minutes, did I go too fast? Elena, now it is the moment to introduce Ginny that you were talking about. Yes, I'm 9 minutes ahead. Thank you for a very fun and interesting presentation. And I believe that we can connect now with Ginny. Are you there, Ginny? Yes, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Yes, we can hear you. I will introduce you first, okay? Yes. So, we are very happy to have Ginny. Ginny Rodriguez Diaz was born and raised in Dominican Republic, and up to when she migrated in the 80s to the United States, where she lives. So she has a degree in multilingual journalism and Spanish, and master in Spanish literature from the University of New York. And in the same university, she works as coordinator in the Department of Arts and Human Sciences. In 2017, she founded the social cultural organization that Elena was talking about, the Art Foundation, working with a Spanish or Hispanic community from Bronx, New York, and also with Dominican Republic. As writer, she wrote Crónicas de la Mariposa and Sueño de Gabriel, the Gabriel Dream. She also have tests in the second identity writing literature compiled by Elena. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us. Welcome. Thank you very much. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you, Lucy, for coordinating this beautiful activity. And thank you, Elena, for the opportunity of working together in this beautiful project. I'm Ginny Rodriguez, as Lucy said. My condition of women was always avoiding taking projects, always associated to writing, because it means an act of resistance and catharsis. And this is the project I'm working with very talented women like Elena, Orlet, Nisia, among others. I believe we lost her for a moment. Receiving her sound, I'm sorry. But we can also address different topics of migration and social distancing. The experience of being women in a patriarchal world, and we still have a long way to go to fight for change. For instance, the condition of Dominican women in a colonized world, and it's very hard to face a world, the world the life in New York, in an imperialistic country, which was a shock for me. And when I started to live in this middle zone, Gustavo Perez, that we don't feel not here, not from here nor there. Neither here nor there. I'm sorry, we lost her. We lose her.
Ginny.
Ginny, I'm sorry, we are losing your, I don't know if you can get closer to the router. I will, the same was going on for me during Elena's presentation. Well, I'm just moving here closer to the router because we are losing you. It's cutting up. Well, let's try it again. Can you hear me now? Yes, perfectly. Okay. So I was saying that thanks to writing that I could recover my own space, and from that and from university education that I received was as if that transcultural young woman become an entrepreneur. I founded a company to promote arts in Dominican Republic and Bronx in New York to vulnerable populations. It is a great satisfaction collaborating to give voice to other migrating women. I wish that they also find themselves reflected in this book, this freedom that is produced when we get in touch with writing. I'm very happy to know that part of these stories are narratives reflecting women empowerment, which is fulfills me with optimism. During social distancing, I have a catharsis by writing. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. So myself, I blocked myself. I started to feel anxious and powerless, not able to write. So what I did do was painting. I never in my life had painted, but during this period of social distancing, this is what I did, and it was a way to reunion with myself, with finding my space, and not punishing myself through writing. And with a project with Elena, when she came to New York for this workshop of identity or identitary writing, it was like a push where I started to write, and through that travel to distant lands like in Cuernavaca and do a beautiful work with the writers there in Tijuana, in Los Angeles, and Cuernavaca. So I'm very thankful to Elena and all the others in this project that we did together. So I want to continue opening doors. If you want to, I really wish we could travel, or that you can come here, and instead of Zoom, we can do it personally. Thank you very much for the opportunity and to take part in this event today. Thank you very much. Actually, the project is about feminist immobilities. So we are women in mobility, and we are in this situation right now. We cannot travel, but at least we are here, and with the body techniques of La Cuerpa, from Elena, we can feel a little bit of this warmth of being together. Yes, definitely. I love it. So, Elena, would you like to conduct a closure session? Yes, yes, please. Thank you for remembering. I'm overwhelmed with emotions and with the energy. Actually, Elena is very uncommon to have 41 people in Zoom. It's many people. Well, as we have time, luckily, we are doing very well so far. We have time, and I will make an exercise here. I will say 3 names of 3 people, and you can say in a word, Portuguese, English, Spanish, or all of them, but 1 word, 3 at maximum, because we are too many here. Tell me, I will call, for instance, Lucy, Luciana, and Catherine, because I maintain an order. I understand that you have different blocks here in the gallery. I don't know, I don't understand the mysteries of Zoom, but let's start to think a word, and then Elizabeth, Mar Sanchez, and Mariana Sabino, then Carla Arroyo, Orlette Ruiz, and Carla. I will be calling you. Think, each of you, a word to summarize. Well, first of all, let's breathe slowly. Oh, I forgot. I didn't use my symbols. This is a sound that will take us to another dimension. And while we breathe and we travel with this sound, we are unifying our energy, because we are all hearing and doing the same in different places in the world, in this small space that is my studio. 1 word. Let's start with Lucy, and then Luciana and Catherine.
Joy, alegría.
Joy. Inspiration.
Fuerza, strength.
Strength. Elizabeth Chalino, Mar Sanchez, and Mariana Savino.
No sé en español, explosión.
Vayan prendiendo sus micrófonos. Mar Sánchez, Mariana Sabino y Carla
Mar
Arroyo.
Sanchez, Mariana Savino, and Carla Arroyo. Connection.
Árbol,
Connection.
Tree.
Tree.
Carla Arroyo, Orlet, y Carla Castillo.
Sorority.
Colorful. Imagine. Carla Castillo, Ginny Rodriguez, and Patti Suarez. Union.
Gratitud.
Unity.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Energy.
Energy.
Laura Linares, Eloisa, and Marta Fernandez Campa. Discovery. Magic.
light.
Light. Vicky, Herman, Alini, and Rosa Minburg.
Freedom.
Libertad. Aline, Rosalyn y Ceci Partida.
Aline, Rosalyn y Ceci Partida.
Resiliencia.
Experience. Rosalín, Cecilia,
Resiliencia.
resilience, union, fusion,
Silvia, Joy y Sulamita.
gratitude,
Calma, calm,
soul, and calmness.
Toledano y
Sulamita, Norma, and Renata. The body, la cuerpa, metamorphosis,
Voice.
Body female o female body. Norma, metamorfosis. Otro traductor, Tere Lefranc. Y
Terele,
ya se cambiaron de aquí después Violeta Sun.
and Violeta Sun.
Big family.
Ajá, Tere Lefranc.
Unity, unidad.
Marta Fernández, ¿ya nos dijiste?
Marta Fernández.
Perdón.
Yes.
Okay.
Renate.
Voice.
Y Sabrina Garofano después.
Voice.
Hi. Yes. Can I?
Sí, por favor.
Love.
Amor.
Amore. Sí.
Renata, Renato, Luis Fernando y Gabriel.
Renata, Renato, Luis Fernando, and Gabriela Slaviero.
Voice. Voice. My word is voice.
No se puede por la letra.
Voice. Yes.
Voice.
Luis Fernando Laguna, Gabriel Slaviero y Elenis González. Vayan prendiendo su micrófono conforme oyen su nombre.
Please open your microphones as you hear your name. Inicia, Luis Fernando, Gabriela, Elenis. Luis Fernando is responsible for recording, he cannot. Gabriela and Elenis, inicia. Nitzia.
Okay. Emoción, excitement.
Emotion, excitement. Olga, Josep, Tuli y María Cano. And when you open your microphones, please, Alcaraza Colectivo, Rosana Vargas. Mystery.
Ahí está, ya.
Olga.
Solidaridad.
Solidarity. María Cano.
Feels good. Saludos.
Pato Cano, la abuela del proyecto. Esa es mi amiguita del kinder.
This is the grandmother of the project, my friend from kindergarten. Rosana Vargas. Well, I believe we did it very well. If anyone wants to say something, I believe we are already in a Q&A session. We are doing very well in time in this ocean of sorority. My word would be me siento
la satisfacción de mis deseos.
Fulfillment. My desires and wishes are fully are fulfilled after working so much and seeing everything doing so well. I feel really fulfilled. Lucy, for questions and answers, I suggest, well, oftentimes I declare myself guilty. But after being in inspiring and moving practices, I use the questions to express myself. And I want to express, if you want to express idea instead of question, you can do it in the chat. So please be very clear and concise in your questions. Your questions maybe is the same as someone else, and I can explain, and Jeannie as well, and Lucy, Catherine, and Luciana, who are also the leaders. Orle, that is also another one to light the candle here. Maria Sabina, very good. Elena, we already have a question by Mariana. Do you want to do it directly? Hello, Elena. Thank you very much for this space, and Lucy, Catherine, the organizers, Fernando as well. My question, I saw that in one of the parts of your presentation, there was an image of a woman that didn't know how to write and read, but still she took part in a workshop. So my question is, how can we include women that are illiterate or that don't have the capacity of writing long texts, but maybe they know some letters, they know how to sign their names, but they didn't have opportunity of a formal education? Thank you. I believe there is a very good answer to this question. Well, the situation happened in prison, and I also imparted workshops in this, in a work, Women Change Your Life. I went to distant lands to work in rural areas, elderly women that didn't know how to write. Usually, well, many of us, we are academic. I'm a rebel in academia, but I have many academic friends that went up to doctorate. There are PhDs now. When I went first time to Nottingham, we were in a pub. We got together, all the speakers. And the one said, oh, I have 3 PhDs in this and this and that. And the other one, I have a degree in arts, the most basic one. But I have an amazing life experience of many years of activism and working with prison population. So we are always with academic young women. They take notes. Now they can record, sometimes with just a mobile. You can record and transcribe later. Of course, I cannot put here all the more than 20 books. But that woman didn't know how to write. He was in prison. He just have primary education. And she had a very bad writing, the letters very difficult to understand, no punctuation, but she was able to write a very moving story. So we write and we record, and so we can communicate all the wisdom they want to convey. Jeannie is telling me that she has to say goodbye because tomorrow she's traveling to Dominican Republic, and also she has her responsibilities in the Lehman College. We thank very much because she's the founder, the economic financer, and her foundation invested to give the first push to this project. So thank you very much, Jeannie. and have a nice trip. Tomorrow we can connect and discuss. I don't know if you want to tell them the example, the exercise you do with the sisters of telling the life of the others. History of Life. This is an old story. This is the first book, and we have a second edition that is already sold out. This is the life stories of indigenous women. One, she was not, I'm not a lawyer, but they say I put a lot of people, and I take a lot of people out of prison. Aida, in her PhD, she needed an experience. She's studying political anthropology, and she was studying the justice system, and she wants to have access to indigenous and rural women in prison. And I was director of communication and culture in prison, and I was the director of Prison magazine with 3,000 issues a month. And I told Aida, well, I have a workshop where I teach how to write and read, and I have many activities, and women start already to get a little bored. And as in prison, everything is endogamic, I proposed Aida to teach the women that already know how to write about their life history. This is also in the manual, how we conducted this social experiment, as we are doing right now, joining women that didn't know how to write and read, indigenous and campesinas that were in intersection of all possible discriminations. And then the top ladies with university education or narco wives with more instruction and know how to write. And they worked in pairs, telling the story of an indigenous woman or a campesina. The top ladies in prison, they became aware of their racism, and they got in touch with an unknown beauties of our world. Thank you very much, Lucy. I thank you. Other questions? What is the name of the book? Teresa Lefranc asks in the chat that she read a book by Zavaleta. And I told her she died last year of COVID. The book and the website of the women is the dreams of a swamp in a swamp. Other questions? Let's start with Laura and then Mar. Tell me where you are. I believe Mar was before me. I gave her the floor. Oh, that's all right. Okay. Thank you, Elena. It was very interesting. I was asking myself, you are working with very young women, in also even underage, in prison for minors or juvenile. How can you work with young women and young girls that suffer violence? We made a book that is called The Stories of Bitches and Hairy Women in a juvie. Children, girls that come from the street with drug addiction low assimilation, attention deficit, lack of language development. So I have to bribe them with olives that they never tried, or cookies, and we seduced there with that. And we worked based on a methodology of a book that Aida gave me. I don't remember exactly the name. That tell a story, complete story with fragments. So we told this story of young bitches and hairy. Half of them had very traditional long hair, and others very short hair. So they were divided, and they were bitches, dogs, female dogs. What was the worst thing they said? That I'm a bitch, that I don't take care of my children, But the bitches, actually the female dogs are incredible. They defend, they take care of their offspring. So we were very fond of being female dogs or bitches. And this manual, Reborn in Writing, is also for young people. Thank you very much. Laura now. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Elena, for this wonderful session. I would like to ask, the workshop is clear itself. The writing give access to spots that are where we are blind. Is there a more formal therapeutical way to access these blind spots and continue with this therapeutic cathartic process? Well, I worked in different contexts. For instance, in a very far away community, psychiatrists, they said that women were very depressed, they needed therapy, and they sent me. And it was very beautiful because the workshop was called, each group put a name. It was important women because they were important for themselves. And one of the parts of the books, we say, this is not therapy. And precisely when we are in a workshop, we want to talk, we want to tell our stories. So we stimulate the talking and we stimulate the writing. When someone is, we ask them to write. When there is a crisis in the middle of the workshop, we do not recommend that make them hug each other, because this take out the strength to go through this this door of shame, of pain. We isolate them and we move alone. Oh, I have to go to the restroom. Come with me. Give me your hand. No, go by yourself. We infantilize women. No, you can do it by yourself. You don't have to go together everywhere. So when you are reading, there's a technique that, crying is when your lungs collapse and you have no air. So what you have to do is stop in front of the audience, breathe, and with this air, push everything outside, things that have to come out. These are small techniques. Yes, I also had people with psychiatric problems, and this is hard because it takes longer, and we have to clarify that this is a writing workshop, not psychiatric therapy. We can join things because there's a saying that there are things that are so much true that they cannot be said, they have to be wrote. So writing, we explore these blind spots. I always say in my workshops, and sometimes I'm tough, don't tell me what you know about yourself already. Elena, she's saying that because she doesn't like the text. No, something that you already know. Don't bring commonplaces, don't bring cliches, invent your own places, create your way of writing. And this is only possible within time. We always start with our commonplaces. This is a slight line, but we have to respect. There is a fine line separating writing and therapy. If you dedicate too much to therapy, you don't have time to write. Thank you. Excellent. Elena, we have another question by Sabrina. Sabrina, where are you from? Where are you talking?
Estaba pensando que con un nombre así tenías que estar en Italia.
Yeah. In this moment, I'm between Umbria and Tuscany. So thank you very much for this opportunity. It's very precious, and I am feeling a lot of emotions. It's a very, very big stuff to manage with emotions. Anyway, my question is this: could we encourage shy people, shy women, by drawing before writing, by using a sort of pictograms, drawings, or colors? Because the faculty to recognize colors survives even in dementia, so old women. Or playing, by dancing, by using fingers. Because according to Helena, there are something so true that we can't say, but just write, or before writing, just draw, or just played like a dance, or some gestures without a sort of shadow movement. According to Jung, for example. So it could be useful. Or do you think that the shy women could lose their spontaneity or embarrassing because they have time to think too much? What do you think? Sorry if the question is not so
Muy buena
interesting.
pregunta.
Thank you
Voy a
very much.
estar en español y te traducen en inglés. Sabrina, muchas gracias.
Sabrina, I will answer in Spanish and you have the translation into English. It is a very good idea. In the first poem and narratives and essay collection for women in prison, we developed a painting technique that is called sumier. That is Oriental technique that is agua forte, is paint and water. Some of them didn't even have primary school. They don't know how to hold the brush, and in a piece of paper they just paint in a very small corner, and they are afraid of expressing themselves with a figurative painting, and also of abstract painting. That is also in the everything is illustrated with this technique. And I also want to say that now I'm doing textile poetry. This is my work that is called the up and the down. And while I do my needlework, I tell the story of my cosmovision. There's another needlework. It's not here, but I made a poem about that. While I'm doing my needlework, ideas come to mind because I all the time working with my head, and by doing things with my hands, I exploit new places and put my new poems, new productions. So I'm sharing with you my textile poetry. And also in poetry, I felt like as if I had exploited everything and I wanted more. So I worked with a drama group that is Silence Transgressors, and we had performances of our stories, and we have a poetic cabaret that is I'm a character telling my own story. It was sponsored by the Institute of Women to prevent sexual violence in university sphere. So it's an older woman telling her sexual experience in a way to say that there's no problem. You are entitled to your own sexuality. The idea is having art as a transforming tool. So yes, Sabrina, your question is very relevant. And yes, usually, whenever possible, we use it. Because there are many issues that are pre-verbal. And there is an exercise in the book that is drawing. And
Thank you. Gracias, Elena. Creo que tenemos tiempo para...
I believe we have time for a last question. Elizabeth, if you want. Yes, thank you very much. Very interesting, all of that. I would like to ask simply if in the workshops, by talking the importance of writing, if you explain the difference between the idea that I'm not my thoughts. Are they, sometimes they are encouraged to say everything, and if they differentiate thoughts, emotions, and written words. The idea that many thoughts come to mind, many, that are somehow the result of the expression of many more emotions, but writing is like organizing everything and put ourselves and a part of it in, because this is something I like very much, the idea that I'm not my thoughts, and writing is a way of liberation, and getting apart from some thoughts that I don't want to have, but I do have. This is a very good question. We use a lot of brain gymnastics to be able to write, because it's not easy. Of the 50 women that were in ontology, they were crazy to be part. And some years later, I invite them. No, I'm fine. It's done. So we close borders. We open doors and we close doors. And this experience of narrative reunion, they took part, they wrote, and they never gave me the texts, or don't pay, don't write. They are just there waiting for a moment to express themselves, which is not easy, because there's a self-prohibition. And so with brain gymnastics, they feel more comfortable to express themselves. And when you write with your left hand, you are connecting to your right hemisphere. Emotion is a part that is different from the reason. Reasoning is in the other area of the brain. So when you are writing, the thoughts that are coming to explain your emotions are bringing from inconscious to conscious process. This is already a process of transformation. And then you look at it, look at what you wrote, and you say, wow, how can I think that? And I thought that to be happy, I needed a husband. No. And then you started to have, oh, you don't need it. So you can observe it as from afar. It's like an internal scanner from places that you cannot reach, as what we do in psychotherapy or psychoanalysis. you are bringing to surface, to consciousness. And the difference between a trauma and experience is the thing that you can put out. Sometimes when we're talking about child sexual abuse, when you try to say it, you cry. But when you convert it into writing and you open for other people to open this door as well and access this. So there's a lot of recommendations for the writing blocks, and it is like sitting and say, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking on what to eat tomorrow. I don't know if I have to buy meat, and they are asking me to write, but actually what I want to write is that I can't stand this work I have anymore. I need to change it. And then things start to flow. It's a flow of consciousness, and you cannot be afraid of what you're writing. In a part, I say the frontiers of writing, and the most difficult one is the one you don't want to recognize. The violences we inflict on ourselves because you are ashamed of writing something because you think bad of yourself. So review it. So this is very good, very good, very good question. Thank you very much. Well, I believe that we can close, and I can only thank Elena. Thank you very much for coming. There are many comments that now you can see in the chat about so much people enjoyed. It was so much fun and so interesting and so important. And it contributed a lot to our discussion as a network of women. So thank you very much. Luciana from the University of São Paulo, her help in organizing the series of seminars, and our interpreters, Sylvia and Renata. We thank you. It was a great pleasure. And Gabriela and Fernando for his technical support at the university and everything regarding the recording of the event.
Although there will still be interpretation to Portuguese. Our next event is going to be held on the 12th of January at 5 p.m. British time, at 2 p.m. Brazilian time. And the organization represented in that case will be Solace, who work in the UK to provide support for survivors of violence against women and girls. And I believe the link to register is going to be coming up in the chat anytime soon if it hasn't already. So that's it. And we would love to hear your feedback on this workshop, not just as a generic feedback survey, but more as a continuation of our discussion, and to hear what you made of it and what your connection to the theme is, and for you possibly to give your email address so that you can connect to the network and connect for future events. So that would be brilliant if you could fill in that survey in any of the 3 languages that we've put surveys to. Así que gracias de nuevo a Elena. Y espero verles muy pronto al próximo evento y
hope to see you again in the next event, and happy holidays. Oh, Lucy, a question. Will this recording be available? Yes, in the website of our project. Oh, if you please can share the link with me. I also would like to thank so many people that took their time to be here with us, and say, Jenny, this is the threshold for a new stage, and it's very beautiful to work as a herd of women. We feel like a connection with different parts in the world, as having my branches with flowers stemming from many places. And Lucy, we continue with our plans to conquer the world. Of course, yes. And also thank you for the at least 2 men that were in this event. It's also very important to have support from masculinity. Yes, of course it is. So with that, we close. Thank you. Bye.
Sorry.
Obrigada.
Obrigada, ciao.
Thank you. Ci vediamo in Italia.
Ci vediamo.
Grazie, grazie immensamente. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.